Yes, good day, everybody. We're going to go into the business first year budget for the business project, which will be done in Excel. Okay. This will cover the sales and expenses for the business. This is a budget, so that means it's a projection of what your business will be spending and earning, and therefore telling me or telling your lecturer whether or not you plan on making a profit or a loss and how much. So um, this will be done in Excel, as I mentioned, and the first draft will be submitted on Sunday, October 24th, and very similar to the business proposal, it will be submitted to your one of your fellow classmates who will review it using the rubric that we're about to go through, and then you will take the rubric and copy and paste it and enter it into an extra sheet inside the same worksheet, and you will upload that on or before October 24th at 11:59 p.m. And again, this is to give you some sort of feedback before you submit your final draft, right? Remember, your total project is due on Sunday, November 21st by 11:59 p.m. Okay, so that being said, let's look at the rubric for the Excel budget. Okay, so recommended delivery for this would be that you have 3 sheets. The second sheet would be your sales projections. You should break it down by day for the entire year. For this project, you can use a fictitious date, but you could put it forth. Say you wanted to say January 1 through December 31, 2022, if that would be your projection for your business to open. And you can give the daily sales and always can take in consideration different things like holidays and days that you'll be closed, if you're going to be closed on Sundays and so forth. If you're going to be a restaurant, let me give you an example. You'd have to decide if you're going to be open for breakfast only, breakfast and lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner only, or if you're going to be an ice cream parlor, or if you're going to be selling snacks or so forth. So then this way you can break it down by meal periods, what you plan on making for each day, to come up with a fairly realistic number. So that would be your sales sheet. Then in your expense sheet, you're looking at what are you going to spend, and this one you could probably do it again. You could probably break it down by day, or you could do it by week, right? And then break down how much you're going to be spending on food, how much you're going to be spending on utilities, if you're going to have to rent, if you're going to have payroll for your labor, you're going to have Social Security, you're going to have maybe internet, you're going to have product costs, you're going to have service costs, you're going to have taxes, you're going to have maintenance, you're going to have marketing. So all the different expenses that you could think of, you're going to come up with those numbers and you would put them on the expense sheet. Your first sheet, which I purposely didn't say first, would be like a cover sheet, but not like a cover sheet in Microsoft Word. It will be like a recap of the sales and the expenses from the other 2 sheets. And that data would be pulled from the other 2 sheets to show how much for each month, and then for the year, how much you're going to make sales, how much you're going to spend in expenses, and then what will be left over would be the profit or the loss. Okay. Um, the formula uses that the formulas that you're required to use to get the full points would be that you're going to be using cell references, you're going to be using circular absolute references, cell ranges, and if formulas to also to represent all the data. Okay, so everything that is a calculation should not be done using a calculator manually. It should be shown by some sort of formula that's been done, and everything that's there should be incorporated into your file, okay, your Excel spreadsheet. For the spreadsheet use and efficiency, all the data that's important to the business should be there. So for example, if you have a restaurant and you show nothing for an expense for food cost, that's going to cost you points, because how can you have a restaurant if you don't purchase any food, right? If you skip out and don't show any labor, or you don't show GST being collected, or if you don't show, um, let's see what else, water, right? You have to have water to run a restaurant. So you have to have light, you have to have gas. These are the things that have to be there. So we want some realism here, that your document is showing all the numbers that are important, and that they're in an order that makes sense, right? The graphs and charts, you should have 4 graphs and charts that are visually appealing and represent key data, right? So I mean, when we say key data, I don't need to know how many mousetraps you're going to buy for the month, right? Put that on a chart. You can talk about sales, you can talk about profits, you can maybe look at food costs, maybe you can look at labor cost. So look at the different things that are important for a restaurant. This again are numbers that you could look up and do some research on, what numbers are important to track. There are definitely a lot more than 4, so you want to look at those and then represent them. Make sure that your charts have all of the elements to them. They should all have the axis labels, and they should have titles. They should be charts that make sense, and they should be charts that are able to be read. The creativity and presentation, that means that you should have minimal calculation errors. You should use non-conventional methods to highlight and exhibit data, which means that you should have conditional formatting. You could use tables formatting inside the Excel spreadsheet. And you want to make sure that the conditional formatting is not just that you will highlight a cell by giving it fill or color or giving it highlighter. You actually have a condition to where if a certain condition is met, that the cell will look a certain way. Okay. The last part is organization, and that means basically that you have your assets and liabilities broken out, and they make sense. Even on your first page, where you're getting the information from the other pages, you should basically have your sales, then you should have your expenses, and then what's left over would be your profit or loss. Okay, so this is to be done in Excel, and again, it shouldn't be any more than 3 pages or 3 sheets inside of the workbook. And then you're going to submit this along with the business proposal. Remember that both documents do not stand alone. They both go hand in hand. So if you mention it in the business proposal, then it should be reflected somewhere in the Excel spreadsheet. And since you alone are working on this, then you should be able to communicate with yourself when you're doing the different elements. And if you make a change in one, then you should make a change in the other. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.